Often when people think about fashion, it is seen as more of this superficial, vanity-oriented topic, interest, or even profession. But I think that this is a very limited glimpse into what fashion really is. And the same is often thought about historical fashion, when in reality, historical fashion and fashion in general mean so much more to so many people. Over the past years wearing historical fashion every day, I have learned some surprising, deeper things about life. And I want to talk about those realizations in this video. I'm going to start off this video with one of the realizations that has impacted me truly in a profound way, which is that I never realized I could feel this close and connected to my ancestors. For those who watch this channel regularly, you'll know that I am a Volga Tatar. I have always been very aware of this fact since I was a child, as my grandmother is Volga Tatar and helped to raise me, but my appreciation and relationship to the Volga Tatars who came before me is deeper than ever. And a huge part of that is because I can really visualize them and what they wore. So it helps to take this really vague and abstract concept of ancestors and makes that so much more tangible, as if I'm carrying a piece of them with me. As well, this is why I feel so drawn to making, researching, and wearing Volga Tatar historical fashion, and why I can't shut up about it. Because when I'm hand-stitching those garments, I often think about how one of my ancestors 150 years ago may have been doing the exact same thing. It's as if the past and present are being threaded together. The other way I've actually felt the most connected to my Tatar ancestors is through learning the Tatar language. I've been learning Tatar with both Cyrillic and Latin alphabet spellings, as the Latin spellings often help to further unite various Turkic people and Turkic ethnic groups around the world, since many of us share similarities with our languages. By the way, one common misconception about us Volga Tatars is that we are Slavic, but we are actually Turkic people. I've also recently started learning a little bit of Turkish, thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Babbel. Although Tatar and Turkish are not mutually intelligible, there are some similarities with the sounds and alphabets. So in order to further help me with the sounds and spellings of Tatar written in a Latin lettered script, I felt personally it would be very helpful to learn some Turkish. Plus, Turkish is an absolutely beautiful language, and knowing more than one Turkic language helps to further unify Turkic people globally.
İyi akşamlar.
İyi akşamlar.
Hoşça kalın Hakan Bey.
Hoşça kalın Hakan Bey. Babbel is one of the top language learning apps in the world, and I really love learning new languages like Turkish with the help of Babbel, because their lessons are designed by real language teachers and Babbel teaches real-world conversations. The lessons prepare you to have practical conversations about travel, business, relationships, and more. Babbel is scientifically proven to help you start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks. And best of all, Babbel offers a 20-day money-back guarantee. Just by beginning my study of the Turkish language, I've already learned to say useful phrases like nasılsın, sağ ol, and adım Vasi Birchwood. One of my goals for 2024 is to deepen my knowledge of different Turkic languages, which includes Turkish. And Babbel is helping me to achieve that. Have you always wanted to learn a new language? Babbel can help you get there with expert-crafted lessons, games, podcasts, and even live classes. Click the link in the description box to get 60% off your subscription. And be sure to let me know in the comments what language you would like to learn and why, as I'm super curious. The next thing is what I learned about myself, which is that I am capable of far more than I ever imagined, especially when it comes to learning things by myself and problem solving. When I was a kid, I absolutely idolized people who could sew. I thought that if someone could sew, they could do anything. I started sewing in August 2020, so I'm pretty new on my journey still. But I'm amazed at my own ability to dive into a new skill that has massively increased my confidence now when it comes to learning anything. I no longer feel like it's not possible, and if I can do it, you absolutely can too. I started to learn to sew in my 20s. I don't think I have a natural talent for it. I've just devoted thousands of hours into practicing hand sewing and making mistakes and trying again. And that's how new skills are learned, stitch by stitch. Wearing historical fashion every day has also taught me just how intelligent people of the past were and people of the present are. I am constantly amazed by the genius of humans. I don't want to live in the past, and nor do I want to romanticize it, because there are many things from the past that are incredibly corrupt and that I hope are never repeated. Humans also have this incredible potential to do good and invent things that change humanity, to craft and make art that alters this world. People of the past created some of the most phenomenal things. Sure, they might not have been programming the next game or working in quantum computing, but they were learning how to optimize their clothes for their needs and environments, or they were inventing the wheel, or they were building the Parthenon. I'm not sure we can adequately make a comparison between working in quantum computing and building the Parthenon. They're sort of apples and oranges, but both require incredible amounts of genius, in my opinion. The reason why wearing historical fashion specifically made me have this realization is due to how intentional every layer of historical fashion is, especially when we look at working class clothing and the clothing of everyday people, which sadly we have a lot less information on. From the various garments that would be worn on top of one another, to the types of fabrics and materials used, to the fact that many historical garments are fully size adjustable, people historically knew how to make their clothing work for them. Which leads into my next realization, which is a deep acceptance of the fact that the body is meant to shift and change throughout life. That is normal, and that is a beautiful thing. My body doesn't need to be something that it isn't. And this is something that historical fashion made me realize. In society, there is this massive constant pressure placed on us to never get older and for our bodies to remain exactly as they are always. It's almost as if society is encouraging us to fight against nature and the natural way of life. Historical fashion, on the other hand, being so size adjustable, especially working class clothes, accommodates for a body's natural fluctuations in size and shape. I think of my Volga Tatar dresses, for instance. They especially are accommodating as everything is really loose cut and is fitted more around the neck and shoulders. Measurements that generally don't change that much in life compared to other parts of the body. You even see this happening in European historical fashion, from the size-adjustable wrapper dresses of the 19th century to the tied skirts of the 18th century. One of my favorite aspects about the historical wardrobe I've hand-sewn for myself is that as long as I mend and properly care for my garments, they could potentially last me a lifetime. So now whenever I'm making a new garment, the sometimes hundreds of hours I put into hand sewing something feels worth it, because this isn't a piece of clothing I'm going to wear for a month and then get rid of. This is essentially a piece of clothing that I'm welcoming into my family long term. I really love this specific realization, which is that wearing or utilizing something that you made yourself is a unique type of joy. We've become quite disconnected in the world with where things come from, and that makes me feel really sad, because I wish I could encapsulate the feeling of joy that I get when I get dressed every morning in something I hand-stitched myself. It is such a profoundly unique and special feeling that I wish everybody got to experience. This one is going to be a little bit funny, but jeans kind of suck. Before you come for me in the comments, this is just my opinion as someone who used to wear jeans as a young teenager, and then I realized I didn't like them at all and stopped, and I haven't gone back since. I think because jeans are really socially acceptable, they're often worn by people, but I'm curious how many people actually find them comfortable, especially some of the tighter styles. I just remember I could never feel comfortable in them. Historical fashion provides a certain type of physical comfort that I just can't even really explain. I feel like it often just has support in all the right places. Here's another not as deep realization, but it's that we wash our clothes way more often in modern times than we probably need to, and I think a huge part of this is the fabric selections that are available today. Less breathable fabrics like polyester generally are just going to get a lot sweatier and stinkier over time, versus something like wool, which really benefits from being aired out and left in the sun for a little bit and has some naturally antimicrobial properties. Even materials like linen, I find, have to be washed far less often than I used to wash my modern clothes. I think another factor here, though, with historical dress is due to the layering systems. Because I wear an underlayer called a shift or chemise with everything I wear, this layer not only offers comfort, but also makes it so that I can wash this underlayer far more often, and then not have to wash the outer layers as often because they stay cleaner for longer. Once again, people of the past were geniuses, this is what I keep saying. Laundry used to be really hard work and time consuming, and so the less laundry they could create for themselves, the better. These realizations are all kind of their own separate entities, but they also tie together, which is how historical fashion has made me develop a deeper connection to nature, to community, to myself, and to what we as humans consume every day. My whole life, I've thought about where food comes from specifically. My mother and grandmother both grew some of our own food, so I grew up eating homegrown food and also being interested in permaculture and regenerative agriculture. So part of my reason for wearing historical fashion originally was because I started to become curious about where my clothing came from too. I wanted to have a deeper relationship with the actual process of acquiring clothing, and so naturally making my own felt like the right trajectory for me. My deeper connection to nature has been as a result of the fact that with historical fashion, you have to be really cognizant of seasonal and weather changes, as well as, for me at least, an understanding of basic fabric compositions and their origins. I need to know what sort of layers to wear in a specific type of climate or environment, and I need to understand how the materials in those layers might be influenced by that location. So when is linen appropriate? When is wool appropriate? When is silk or cotton? The deeper connection to community is not only because of the historical fashion community and making friends there, but also I've connected with so many other Volga Tatars because of researching and constructing Volga Tatar fashion and talking about it online. Isn't it amazing how something from hundreds of years ago, like the clothing of our ancestors, can bring people together in the present in such a profound way? I could go on and on with this list. Wearing historical fashion has taught me so many things about life because to me, this is not just some pretty little hobby like some onlookers might think historical fashion is. Historical fashion opens up a world of deeper conversations, from environmental protection and sustainability to building community and connection to others, to nature, to ourselves, to our ancestors. And beyond that, recognizing how much we can learn from people of the past, both in what we should definitely not repeat again, and what from the past was actually helpful and might benefit us today. Thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like to see me give myself a complete ancient Greek makeover, I even sew a chiton, which was pretty cool, then be sure to watch this video next. I'll see you all in 2 weeks for another video.